Welcome back to Pixel Football, where today I'm ranking some of David Beckham's most iconic haircuts into a tier list, but along the way, we'll also look back at his career and explore how he became such a global phenomenon, not just in football, but in pop culture too. So Beckham famously formed part of the Manchester United's class of '92, along with Ryan Giggs, the Neville brothers, Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt. And it feels significant that they're synonymous with 1992, the year that English football was transformed by the launch of the Premier League. The game changed a lot over that decade, and no other England player captures that shift quite like David Beckham. Becks played for United in the season prior to Euro 96, but didn't manage to break into the England squad for the tournament. Yet after that summer, he became a household name on the first day of the following season by scoring that famous goal from the halfway line against Wimbledon, and spectacularly announcing himself onto the world stage. At the time, Beckham is donning the infamous curtains that was a rite of passage during the 90s, so I'm going to place Beckham's curtains in tier C. And he started to emerge as one of the best England players and winning titles of United. But in '97, he met Victoria Adams, aka Posh, and this partnership would transform Beckham from a mere footballer into what would become a global brand. And being with a member of the biggest pop band in the world, it starts to reflect in Beckham himself as his hair evolves into a cut you'd expect to see in a 90s boy band. So I'm coining this one the Spice Boy. Beckham began shaping his image as a fashion figure, most famously wearing a sarong while out with Victoria, signalling his intention, whether consciously or not, to become an icon not only in football, but in mainstream culture too. And he had this long blonde haircut during his first major setback when he was sent off against Argentina at the World Cup in 1998, going from golden child to a bit of a hate figure in the eyes of some fans who branded him as the fall guy for yet another disappointing exit from England at a major tournament. So due to this massive change in Beckham's career on and off the pitch, I'm putting these Spice Boy locks above the 90s curtains in tier B. By 2000, Beckham had emerged from that experience tougher and was developing into a genuinely world-class player, perhaps driven by that World Cup moment and a determination to prove himself. Reflecting this newfound hardiness, he revealed a new look during a match against Leicester, a shaved head, a sharp departure from his trademark locks. It felt like a break from his previously boyish image, almost like a rebellious member of a boy band shaving their head. So I'm going to put this one into tier A. I'm perhaps a little bit biased due to my own enforced shaved head, but I think that was always a really strong look for Beckham. And then moving on to 2001, and one of his most iconic looks with that rather severe yet daring mohawk. This really cemented Beckham's status as an influencer in the wider culture, and for that reason, I'm placing this one into S tier. One person who wasn't a fan of the mohawk was of course Alex Ferguson, who once made Beckham shave it off in the dressing room before a match. And that symbolises a broader shift in football from the pre-Premier League era, where players were largely subservient to their club and their managers, to a new era where the glowing celebrity of players like Beckham began to challenge the manager's control over the dressing room culture. So this severe mohawk didn't last long, and Beckham reverted back to the buzz cut in time for another one of his iconic moments with that free kick against Greece. But this time with a modified version, with a slit cut into the hair and a shaved eyebrow, it all felt very noughties. But the mohawk returned in a new guise with this bleached faux mohawk, which defined his look at the 2002 World Cup finals, where the now England captain made a nation hold its collective breath as he recovered from a broken metatarsal bone just months before and famously scored a penalty to seal a win over Argentina, the same team where he saw red only 4 years previously. And Beckham's influence was felt more than ever around this time. So I'm going to put the faux mohawk in tier A, as it's one of his trademark looks and a time where Beckham was probably at his peak of his playing power. After 2002, his hair starts getting longer again, with wilder interpretations of the mohawk, but eventually becoming long and blonde, which remained his look during his final year at Old Trafford. And also captured by the infamous boot incident, where Beckham was struck in the head by a boot that was kicked in anger by Fergie after a loss to Arsenal. Cue a tabloid frenzy where Beckham was pictured sporting the wound, gloriously framed by his long blonde locks and tied back by another noughties fashion accessory, the Alice band. Speculation was abound about the incident, but it seems that the tension felt by Fergie towards Beckham's growing celebrity boiled up to this point, and Beckham left the club in the summer. And he would return to his long hair over the years, but I'm putting it in tier C. But before leaving Old Trafford, he had the chance to meet Nelson Mandela, and he decided that this was the time to bust out the cornrows. A style decision he would later regret, and at the time was treated as a quirky or eccentric choice. I mean, he would probably face harsher criticisms these days of cultural appropriation, especially when meeting such a figurehead as Mandela. But I think this was probably his worst look over the years, so I'm placing this one very much as a fail. So in 2003, he then signed for Real Madrid, where his hair was now often tied up in that samurai style and captured at his Madrid unveiling in that pale blue suit. Beckham joined Madrid's collection of Galacticos, where he would stay for around 4 years. And I'm going to place that samurai look above the standard long hair into tier B. Beckham would go on to switch between short and long hair over the coming years, reverting to a side-swept look in 2005, which was almost Bieberish in a sign of what was to come. So I'll put this look down as pretty average into tier C. Then as the noughties progress, he starts adding the volume back with a soft spiky style, which he has towards the end of his playing days at Madrid, and I'll place that into tier B. Then in 2007, he reverted back to a longer buzz cut, but this time bleached platinum, which I was never really sure about, so I'm putting that into tier D. He switched back to a front flip later that year, where he was now playing at LA Galaxy, a move that some criticised as a gimmick and moving for the glamour of Hollywood rather than for footballing reasons. But it felt like a bold decision, and one that definitely clinched his celebrity status. But he's been very loyal to the MLS and is now obviously involved with Inter Miami there. So this front flip I'll give a C, as it stuck around for a while, becoming more trimmed and neat over the years as Beckham had spells at AC Milan and finally PSG until he retired in 2013. So I'll also give that a C as well. Bex isn't one to disappoint though, and even after retiring, he grew his long hair again and in 2017 gave us the man bun. So I'm going to place that into tier B. So there's the life and times of David Beckham through his haircuts, presented by a follically challenged YouTuber. But Bex captures and personifies the transition of football from the 90s into the 2000s, where footballers went from working class heroes into pop culture icons. But above all else, he was a great footballer who played in major leagues around the world and defined England's golden generation. Thanks for watching Pixel Football. Remember to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. See you again soon.